The Sunday school lessons for March the 2nd, 2025 are A Kingdom of Priests, a Holy Nation, and Bound by Love. Exodus chapter 19, verses 1 through 14. Welcome, viewers and subscribers, to my channel, Read With Me. I am Audrey. If you are new here, please know that this is an audio reading of the lesson and lesson summary. Verses 1 through 2. On the first day of the third month after the Israelites left Egypt, on that very day, they came to the desert of Sinai. After they set out from Rephidim, they entered the desert of Sinai, and Israel camped there in the desert in front of the mountain. Verses 3 through 4. Then Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain and said, "This is what you are to say to the descendants of Jacob, and what you are to tell the people of Israel. You yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt, and how I carried you on eagles' wings and brought you to myself." Verses 5 through 6. Now, if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession. Although the whole earth is mine, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words you are to speak to the Israelites. Verses 7 through 8. So Moses went back and summoned the elders of the people and set before them all the words the Lord had commanded him to speak. The people all responded together, "We will do everything the Lord has said." So Moses brought their answer back to the Lord. Verses 9 through 10. The Lord said to Moses, "I am going to come to you in a dense cloud, so that the people will hear me speaking with you and will always put their trust in you." Then Moses told the Lord what the people had said. And the Lord said to Moses, "Go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow. Have them wash their clothes." Verses 11 through 12. And be ready by the third day, because on that day the Lord will come down on Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. Put limits for the people around the mountain and tell them, "Be careful that you do not approach the mountain or touch the foot of it. Whoever touches the mountain is to be put to death." Verses 13 through 14. They are to be stoned or shot with arrows. Not a hand is to be laid on them. No person or animal shall be permitted to live. Only when the ram's horn sounds a long blast may they approach the mountain. After Moses had gone down the mountain to the people, he consecrated them, and they washed their clothes. A brief summary. Exactly 2 months after leaving Egypt, the first day of the third month, the Israelites arrived at Mount Sinai. In all likelihood, this was the very place where Moses had seen the burning bush, 3 verses 1 through 2, where God had promised that the people would worship him after being brought out of Egypt, verse 12. The Israelites would spend almost a year there. After Moses climbed the mountain to meet with God, the statement, "You yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt," was a reminder that the Lord had the credentials to provide a covenant. The expression, "How I carried you on eagles' wings," was a reminder of how God had provided for the Israelites every need on the journey to Sinai. The little word "if" indicates that the Lord was ready to announce the stipulations of the covenant. The requirement was that Israel was to obey the Lord and keep the covenant's terms. The first stated blessing was that Israel would be elevated above other nations. God did not, however, surrender his control over the nations, for the whole earth is his. The Israelites would be God's private property. his treasured possession. The second blessing of the pending covenant was that Israel would be a kingdom of priests, thus giving every person access to God in prayer. These two blessings are applied to Christians in Titus chapter 2 verse 14, 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 9, and Revelation chapter 5 verse 10. In making this covenant with Israel, God sent Moses to deliver his basic proposition and then waited for a response before going on with the details of the covenant. Moses spoke to the elders, who then talked to their families and brought back to Moses a report. We will do everything the Lord has said. To prevent the Israelites from ever saying that the law Moses was about to transmit to them was of his own making, God gave Moses the highest possible honor. God would speak with Moses, and the people would hear him. God instructed Moses to return to the people and prepare them for his coming on Mount Sinai in the sight of all. The mountain was to be marked off with boundaries to keep the people away. A death penalty was announced for anyone even touching the mountain. During the 2 day period prior to the Lord's coming, special preparations were made. In addition to staying off the mountain, the people were to wash their clothes and abstain from sexual relations, not because sexual relations are sinful, but because they would make the people ceremonially unclean. Leviticus chapter 15, verse 18. When the morning of the third day arrived, there must have been a breathless hush of expectation, because then came the sight of lightning and a thick cloud, accompanied by the sudden sounds of thunder and a very loud trumpet blast. What an awesome thing to be led out to meet with God. The people stood at the foot of the mountain, as near as they were permitted to come. Thank you so very much for listening to the audio reading of the lesson and the lesson summary. And remember, every Sunday at 1 o'clock Central Standard Time, I release a new audio for the upcoming Sunday school lesson. Please share this audio with your Bible study class, your Sunday school class, your social media friends, and so on. Thank you for all that you do to help this channel grow one viewer and one subscriber at a time, as also you help me to walk in my path. Stay safe and may God bless.